Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. I'm Baron and this is your Brain on Books, and today we're going to be talking about The Bottoms by R Lansdale. That's right, Lansdale, the Mojo King. And if you're not familiar with Lansdale as an author, he's one of the most prolific writers of American suspense and horror fiction. Maybe somebody you won't always see on your Barnes & Noble and Waterstone shelf, but he is the bread and butter of specialty publications, going back to Dark Harvest in the 1980s and 90s, up until more recently with Centipede and Subterranean Press. The guy is everywhere. Dozens of novels, hundreds of short stories, somebody who should definitely be on your radar. And The Bottoms is top tier Lansdale. This is one of his best books and one of his highest award-winning books, and I suggest everybody pick it up. But let's get into what is it about. So this book is set in 1930s East Texas, and East Texas is kind of the standard setting for most Lansdale novels, kind of similar to how Stephen King writes everything in Maine. Lansdale, you're going to get East Texas. So this is set up with a young boy named Harry and his sister Tom, who are at the Bottoms down in the woods, and they find a black woman tied to a tree, murdered with barbed wire, and it sets off a murder mystery and coming of age story in a truly Southern Gothic style that is absolutely gripping from start to finish. Now that premise doesn't sound all that unique, and I've read a lot of books like that, but this is a standout, and let's talk about why. So the first thing that is really profound about this story is how it delves into what's going on in that region in the 1930s. The first is the Depression and kind of the fallout of World War I and how that impacts some of the people and the men in the town. But the larger, more profound theme is the actual delving into racism. And this is done in a way that I have not seen before. I mean, typically Southern Gothic fiction deals with racism a lot, and there's some colorful language that's thrown in there, and there might be a scene or two, but this is really the crux of the entire story and how it plays into people's interpersonal lives and their personal growth in the way that they see each other, how justice is dealt with. It is truly remarkable how Lansdale did this, and it is thought-provoking, gut-wrenching at times, frustrating at times, but nonetheless, I think it's a worthwhile read. And I haven't seen any other book deal with this content with this level of mastery other than, say, Toni Morrison or even Harper Lee. And I think that is largely why there is a lot of awards for this book, is just how profound Lansdale was in basically educating but also presenting this subject matter. Another thing that is completely amazing, and this I've only seen in the book The Ocean at the End of the Lane by Neil Gaiman, is how the kids in this coming of age tale deal with trauma and how they actually will create supernatural ideas. There's a character in this called the Goat Man, which may or may not be real, but the kids assume that that is who is causing the murders and who is the serial killer within this town. And it kind of almost has this horrific magical realism quality to it on how they're going to interpret the things around them, not just from death within these murders, but also loss of pets, for alcoholism in the family, and everything else. Truly remarkable how Lansdale did this, because that's reality. You know, kids deal with trauma in a very unique way, and they don't know how to rationalize it always, and they'll jump to conclusions or use outlets that are maybe non-conventional, but really work for them to get through what is happening in the world around them. And Lansdale just did such a good job with it. And since this is a Lansdale book, the writing is phenomenal. He has a very unique way of writing. He's often compared to Stephen King, and I think that's an apt comparison. It has that immersive, kind of straightforward and punchy quality that you get in a Stephen King book. However, there is kind of a vibe and an atmosphere and a mojo that they often associate with him. That word pops up a lot with Joe Lansdale to his writing, that almost feels like kind of an old blues song, or that it's just lyrical in the way that it's presented, that is very unique and very cool and very trademark Lansdale. So this book I absolutely loved. It's not the first Lansdale I've read. It's definitely not going to be the last, but I wanted to bring it up to you all because I think if this is an author you're interested in, or is this a subject matter that you might like, or if you enjoy Southern Gothic fiction, this is a standout. Even though it's a somewhat conventional plot with the coming-of-age murder mystery, there's a lot of books like that, like Ordinary Grace or Boy's Life, or even Stephen King's It, although not Southern Gothic. This is a standout. It does something very unique, and it presents some profound themes that I think are worth everybody exploring more. They're important and they should be delved into, and this presentation is masterful. So that's it today. I encourage you to pick up this book, and until next time, see ya.